Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's The Power of Free show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media. And sorry for going live a little bit late. We are having some tech challenges. A few people are struggling to get on with the Google Hangout tool not downloading and all sorts of things. So I have Carrie here joining me, and if everyone else can get on, they'll just join us when they can. If not, maybe post in the comments or something. That would be great. But yeah, so thank you for joining us on the show today. This is going to be about collaboration and mindset and perseverance and all those kind of soft things that are related to our businesses and related to our lives, and how we can just move forward with things by having a positive mindset and just yeah, basically a little bit of a discussion. So it might end up being a little bit shorter today if it's just myself and Carrie. But I will let Carrie introduce herself. But she is one of my co-authors in an upcoming book. So it's called Women Rising to Share Your Story. Or sorry, I don't even know the title. We're still kind of working on it. So collaborating on a book is a really big challenge, as we found out. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Yeah, so Carrie is in the Center Stage program with me. And it's been a fantastic experience, and part of what we did was learn about public speaking and then produce a chapter in a book that's coming out in October or November. So Carrie, why don't you tell a little about yourself and the kind of work that you do?
Sure. Thank you so much, Angelique. It's such a pleasure to be here. And hi, everyone. Thanks for showing up today. So my name is Carrie Montgomery. I have a brand called The Passionate Rebel Lifestyle. It's about how to embrace who you are in life and work with your limitations and learn how to grow from there. I'm a trained health coach. I've worked with doctors for the past 5 years, teaching them nutrition inside their practices and coaching their patients. I'm also an avid artist and photographer, and I love art and that freedom of expression, and I have a strong business background. So I really call myself a lifestyle curator. So a lot of my clients, I end up working with them on the health perspective to kind of clear out any obstacles they have going on. And then I end up moving forward with them to create the life that they want and that they dream of. So I really inspire women to take claim of their lives and live fiercely in the moment and open up doors to increase financial abundance, which is something that I really enjoy. And the diversity of my background and the experiences I've had is really in the art of living. So I love what I do, and I love helping people.
Wow, that was such an awesome intro. I have to say that my bio is still not very polished, and I love your tagline. And even Susan Jane, who is going to be joining us as well, and she's still trying to get on. You know, she's the body whisperer, and you are the passionate rebel. I think that's so great, and I think it's so smart to have a beautiful tagline like that really speaks to what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So why don't we just talk a little bit about some of the things that you have gone through, like a bit about your story, and then we'll talk a bit more about how each of our stories. I'll share my chapter information too, and then we'll just discuss some of the things that come into play in life and how we've used these to turn them into positives and move forward.
Yeah, great. I mean, I can start at a really young age. My healing journey started. I think it's when we really experience our first trauma at the same time we start to acknowledge the healing journey. So I was about 6 when my first trauma happened. And then 18 was a really big time for me where I actually got the medical industry in on my trauma and the things that were going on inside my body. I think I manifested a lot of things because I didn't know how to express what was actually going on for me, and it's very normal for people to internalize their traumatic experiences into their bodies. So the journey between my body and I, it's been about building a partnership, and that's really what the story is about for me, and it's learning to listen to myself and really like receive and build that internal dialogue with the divine, what's bigger than us, and knowing that there's something bigger than us out there, and learning how to digest that information and how do we take it in. And then knowing when to take action, and knowing when to take action when it's not self-sabotaging action. And, you know, my first trauma was, you know, I was abused sexually as a child, and my story has grown from there to, you know, where in my chapter I really come out with that I confronted my perpetrator this past year. And so 31 years later, what it was like, and I'm getting chills as I'm talking about it right now, because I've actually never shared this with anyone yet. So this is like kind of a big coming out, but yeah, going through the process of unveiling the pain, the hardship, and the heartache that we go through, and what happens in that process. And then how do we recover? What do we do? And, you know, my health story is really big and long and drawn out, so I'm not going to go into it here. But it's also made me an expert in health and well-being. I can work with people on so many different angles. I work a lot on hormone recovery and balancing, and I also do a lot of digestive work, and I also do a lot of like autoimmune work, so any inflammatory process. And I use food and supplements to transition people's lives, and that's been really empowering. The most beautiful thing, though, that I've really learned is to just get the mindset and my attitude in the right place. And that's like 95% of all healing, is if we can get connected with Source, if we can get connected to who we are beyond the things that have happened to us. We are all brilliant, bright beings. And I love that. Like, I love being able to say that with confidence now, knowing it from all the other glorious experiences that I've had, from, you know, talking at Mama Gina School for Womenly Arts, to writing the chapter in this book, to working on a global nutrition program right now, which is great for a coaching program. It's all about like pursuing your passion, leading with your edge, and knowing that we all have gifts that we bring to this planet, and to continually persevere to bring that forward because we're serving others with it.
Awesome.
That's a little bit of my journey.
that was very concise, and thank you so much for coming out today and for sharing your journey for the first time publicly. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I know that your story is so amazing, because part of this journey for me, taking that center stage program and working on our signature speeches and then on our chapters for this book, there's 18 women who've collaborated on Women Rising to Embrace Your Story, Find Your Power. And reading through some of these stories, it's amazing what people have gone through and what the human spirit is able to endure and bring something positive from the whole experience. So,
yeah, we are incredibly powerful and strong, and I think we're given the credit that we are that a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why don't we, like I said, this was meant to be a few more people on here, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of looking around to see who's still trying to get in, and yeah, I think it's just going to be you and me, Carrie, unless someone else pops in. But
you know, just to bounce off of you, you know, working with like a speaking coach like Chantel Adams it's really amazing to take someone who's an expert at what she does and have her help us sizzle down our story and find our defining moment, and then grow and build from there, and teach us how to reach out into the community, into the world with our story, which is something I wanted to do for years and didn't have the confidence to do it. So working with a group, like the group program we did in Center Stage, was so profound to me, because I could see where other people were going and having, you know, their obstacles, and we could talk about our own obstacles and then how to overcome them, and to find the confidence to do what we love and what we want to do, and to build this sort of this dream life that we're all working towards.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. All of us are, sometimes we don't know what we're working towards. Sometimes we don't know what our ideal clients or even our ideal life looks like, and how to be happy and accept that. The happiness in our life. I was just listening to Jennifer Sparks talking about her Happy on Purpose book, and no matter what we've got going on, we have to make that decision to be happy and to to really to appreciate and be grateful for those times when, let's say, we've got poor health or we're struggling financially or whatever our own challenges are, to really embrace the good times, because otherwise you get so mired down in what's going on in the rest of it, and you stop feeling good about things. And if you look at people who are in, third world countries and they don't have a lot, but they can appreciate their family being around them, for instance. And
Right.
sometimes, especially being in the Western world, we have so much abundance that we don't realize we have to be thankful for the good things. And I've had some health issues, like shoulder injury, for the last few months that we can't figure out what's going on and what's causing it. But so I really realized that, I just have to be less hard on myself about not being able to get the things done that I want to do. And maybe that's the time to sit and read a book or something, or to call a friend that I haven't talked to in a long time. And even financially, we've had lots of car troubles and health issues that have been a challenge this year. But then at some point in the summer, I thought I really started swimming. I started long distance swimming, and I've only been doing that for the last year. And I started training in December last year, and for 7 months I've been training. And then I realized one day that, with everything that's going on, we live right near the lake. We can walk out there in about 5 minutes. And every morning my husband and I would go out and we'd either swim or kayak. And I thought, wow, this is, if I could live any other life, this is exactly what I would be
You are
doing.
not dodging bombs, which is great.
Yeah. And just, like I said, just appreciating what I've got here and thinking, even if I could choose something else, this is exactly what I would choose. I love how my husband and I spend time together, every morning going for a swim together. And it's just such a beautiful place here in Kelowna. And people come here for holidays, and we live here. So just appreciating what's around me. Maybe we can't afford to go on a vacation or go out to a restaurant because we're saving money to go back to England and visit our family. But we've got this stuff right here in our backyard, and just appreciating what we've got. We've got friends, we've got, people that really care and support us, and reaching out to people and making those connections a little bit more valuable, because sometimes we forget the people in our life, and we forget to touch base because, we're on social media so much and we see them, but we're not really making that real connection anymore.
Right, absolutely. And, it's interesting, though, just to go back to, like, getting everything done in a day. We're human, we're not superhuman. And that's having realistic, like, outcomes for ourselves is really important, so that we don't feel like we're constantly failing on a daily basis when we're trying to pursue things. So it's having, realistic goals. Hitting 3 objectives in a day is great, and making it a whole lifestyle choice. I mean, these are now choices for us when we choose to work for ourselves. Sure, we could go out and find a job. It's not exactly what I'm looking to do, though, with my life. And I've worked tirelessly for years to become an entrepreneur and to build this kind of platform, and to do all the research that it takes to get there, and build the relationships, and have the following, and building your tribe, and all of those things. It's so important that we have gratitude for what we do have. And being an American, and a Canadian, we live very blessed lives in that sense. So health problems aside, it's amazing that we have the ability to actually go out and do whatever we want to do, really, in a day. We don't have to dodge bombs. We're not, we have clean water. We're really, really lucky.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes it's, like you said, just having a bit of gratitude for that, and waking up in the mornings and just thinking, what am I grateful for today? Or before you go to bed, how powerful that mindset piece is. And just,
that's an abundance practice.
Yeah, and just expressing that, or turning something on its head, and changing our self-talk, and how because especially as women, we can be really hard on ourselves, and we compare ourselves to all these people who we see that are being really, really successful, whether it's online or in the real world. Yeah. And we tend to compare ourselves to them, and everybody has something worth sharing sometimes, and people are at different parts of their journeys, and we just need to appreciate where we are now, and we're in the right place, and we're helping the right people, and sometimes it's just a matter of changing the way we see things. And this, this all goes back to the health stuff too, like really just
Well, that's
appreciating
the
our
healing
journey.
journey. The healing journey is really about mindset when you come down to it, and it's learning about what the inner dialogue is saying to you and how do we transform that. And we have physical symptoms that we all experience, and sometimes they are real, like we were talking about. The shoulder injury, it could be a real injury, and that needs healing and it needs care. But then there's that chronic level of symptomology that people experience, and that's where we get to really look at, like, how does this play into our life, and how do we actually get to clear it out? And is that the story of my parents, or is that the story of my brother, or is that the story of my social setting, or is that the story that I'm just telling myself because I've somehow got programmed that way at one point in my life? And I mean, when we overcome obstacles, it really is embracing where we actually are, learning to live within our limits. It's also about knowing, like, the appreciation and the gratitude for everything that is around us. So an abundance practice is really important to me because, I went from, living in New York City, having this glamorous, amazing, awesome life, to having to move home with my parents, not being able to walk last year. And going through that process of, like, okay, well, what am I grateful for? Like, there was such an extreme change in my life, but also knowing, like, okay, there's some really huge blessings in this, and I am so lucky, and I'm so grateful to have space and community and knowledge and the ability and capacity to reach out and work with other people on a different level, and actually on the level that I've always wanted to work on, and knew that what I was doing was going to end me up in burnout anyways. So.
Right. Sometimes we can't see into the future, and I guess you could say that we could have a number of different paths in our life depending on which fork in the road we take at that time.
You don't have a crystal ball?
Of course not. But so many of us look, a year down the road and think, this is where I expect to be, and circumstances change and you're not there, and it gets frustrating. But we're on the journeys that we're on. We're all writing our own book as we're moving through it, and at some point, whatever it is, our health issues, our financial issues, our client issues, whatever it is, at some point that will be a chapter in our past, and
right.
It'll be something that's just part of our story.
Right. What was the writing process like for you?
It's funny because I really struggled at first to find, what my North Star message was, and my key points. And then all of a sudden one day I was doing the dishes, and this quite often happens, right? When we're working really hard to try and achieve something, because this was a 10-week course. So of course there were, working through the worksheets, there's a bit of time pressure on it. But then one day I was doing the dishes. Yeah, well, like whether you're working on.
And I didn't do it all. I know that.
Oh, I'm still working through it too. Yeah. But sometimes when we just let go and stop trying so hard to think about something, like I said, I was doing the dishes and it just kind of came to me. And my story is a little bit my husband's story that I was sharing, and mine is my chapter is collaboration is the shortcut to success. And my husband is Canada's first ice swimmer, and that kind of started to build for me as a story of teamwork and having dreams and how you can reach these goals by having a supportive group of people around you, and that kind of built into my story. There's so many stories that we could all tell, but this book, this chapter, was this one story for me. So once I kind of got clarity on that, it really just flowed, and then it was kind of breaking it up into some manageable chunks, and having it have a message behind it, and then working with all of us, sharing our stories, having other people edit it and see if it flows well, and just giving comments, and everyone was so wonderfully supportive in the group, and I think that's really important. Having people around us in whatever we're doing, in our business and in our personal life, finding a group of people who are non-judgmental, but who are able to give you that swift kick when you need it, and who can have a critical eye but say it to you in a really kind way, and help us to discover our own strengths and to see the things that maybe we're not seeing ourselves, and to get all that positive feedback. I think that's where I think our group was really fantastic. There was probably about 10 people, 8 to 10 people who are really active in the group and who are really, putting ourselves out there and helping each other, lifting each other up. And like I said, just kind of saying, I love your story and this piece is really good, but it could be stronger if you do this, or if you get stuck.
I know, I was amazed. Like, I'm not grammatically correct at all. I love ideas, I love speaking, and I love writing, but I have to have someone else, like, look through the work. And I loved being like, okay, I just brain dumped, here you go, and then put it up there, and people would read it and be like, okay, this doesn't really make sense, or do this, that, and the other thing. Or, Elizabeth would, like, completely edit the whole document. I'd be like, you're amazing, thank you, because I can't look at my work with any real clarity after it's out there. So being able to turn it over to a group of people and say, what's your perspective on this, was so insightful. And I mean, it was a great playground for me to digest an action that I took that was huge, huge for me, something that I've been thinking about for years, and that I, on a whim, just did it. And then, really having some space just to, Mama Gina School for Womenly Arts definitely gave me some space to digest it. And then having Center Stage was another really wonderful place to digest it, too. And that whole, like, finding your defining moment was, we have so many things that happen to us in life. So, like, what is that moment? And I'm like, well, the moment could be when I broke my back. The moment could be when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. The moment could be when I collapsed in the streets of New York City. There's so many moments. And to know that, to figure out, like, what the real rhythm of our life is that we go through, and the things that sing true to our heart that we want to bring to the world. And that, for me, when I, listen, receive, respond, it's my defining moment is when I was working with a dance instructor, and he taught me how to listen, receive, respond. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this for years. Now you're giving me some words to put on it. And it's been a great resource for me spiritually, with my health, with working with my clients, slowing them down, teaching them about mindset. It's really, it's wonderful to have a place to digest the information that we go through, all this experience we have, and then working with a team of people to say, hey, like, maybe you need to do this, or maybe you need to do that, and giving insight onto it.
I think that's a really good point, because so many times, especially as entrepreneurs, and quite often as women, we tend to take everything on ourselves and wear all these different hats. Like, if you're working at a corporate job, people are assigning you tasks, or you are assigning tasks to other people. And then you come into your own business, and suddenly you are marketing and sales and doing the coaching or consulting and doing the bookkeeping and keeping everything tidy and doing the admin. And suddenly you're wearing all these hats, and you forget that all of us really should be speaking to our strengths and doing what we do best, and then letting the other stuff go to other people who are doing what they do best. And that's part of what, in this group, like you said, Elizabeth is fantastic. Elizabeth and Lori were both really great at the editing and the kind of taking our raw words and putting it into something beautiful and flowing. And it's like, wow, that's their strength, right? So each of us has our own strengths. And I think that's what's so amazing about being in any kind of group, whether it's mentoring that you pay for, whether it's like us as part of a program, or even just finding 2 or 3 or 4 people. I talk a lot about collaboration in my chapter, and when I'm dealing with clients as well, how much more powerful we are put together than just one person alone. And having that support and building your network, and sometimes it could be just 1 or 2 people that you once a week you meet with, and you brainstorm ideas, and suddenly things just kind of flow, and it makes things a lot easier. But also to get your ideas out into the world. Like, one of the kind of formulas I talk about is success equals connect plus share plus shine. So connecting with people who are going to support you, and who are building a tribe of people, whether it's people in a mentoring group or meeting at a conference or whatever it is. The sharing part is then it can be
You're going
sharing
on a journey with me.
Oh, okay. It can be sharing.
I need to charge.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Or it can be, sharing is on social media, like the liking and commenting and retweeting and all that sort of stuff. That's really powerful, and I think because social media is my space, I really understand it. And people so often read things and then say, "Oh yeah, that was really great," and I say, "Well, did you like it or comment on it?" And they don't realize how valuable that is.
Well, it's
And
part of like relationship building and networking. It's just online, and it's a different way. And I think like about all the people that I kind of interact with all the different groups that I really embrace this world actively, I'd say like 9, 10 months ago. And learning how to get into all of these groups and how to participate and not resist it has been huge.
right.
Because it's a different, I'm a people person. I want to be in front of people all the time, but it's not healthy for me at this point in my life. And so really finding a place for me to operate where I can sustain and maintain myself behind closed doors. And it's an amazing opportunity to know how to do that and start recognizing people and learning who they are and communicating with them and saying, hey, I saw you post this. What about that? Or like, one of my coaches said, just Sally Hope, she's amazing. And she said, just have the conversations that you want to have. Like, put out the questions that you want to talk about and ask these people. You're in amazing forums. Like, you're super lucky to be a part of these forums. Just have those conversations and see what comes back. And it's amazing what does come back.
And I've done the same thing because one of the programs that I'm building right now is about client attraction on autopilot using blogging and videos. Like, social media is so hungry and intensive, but if we start creating our own material, it lives out there for a long time. So I just did a bit of a research question in one of my groups and on my email newsletter, and just said, hey, what are you struggling with when it comes to blogging and videos? Why do you find it challenging? Just list a few of the things that you get stuck with. And amazingly, there's like a thread of like 40 different comments back and forth. So just being, like you said, being interactive in groups. And I think people really need to, if you're going to be in groups and get value out of it, you get out of it what you put into it. And so many people are just not just observers, but just, clicking like isn't helping you or the other person, but actually
they're bystanders,
engaging with people and building that dialogue and the relationships, and those relationships then sometimes they turn into friendships, sometimes they turn into mentors and coaches, and sometimes they turn into your clients. But we kind of forget to have those relationships. We're in 50 different Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and Google Plus communities, but are you really engaging in them? Are you really getting a lot of value out of it? And if you're not, like, really cut down, pick 5, and have better relationships in those 5 groups.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because some of them overlap a lot, so you can actually just repost in different groups the same thing. But what would be a tip for someone if they were in a bunch of social media groups, like, and they're kind of not engaging in them, and they know they need to be, but it's kind of like, how do you manage all the conversations and like stay up to speed on it? And I definitely take the perspective of like, well, you see what you're supposed to see when you see it. Like, you can't always be attached to it because we really need time apart from our technology. I think it's super important as a human being because we're living, breathing things, and there are things that emit from technology that we need space from to save our own energy. But what would you say are good tips for people to stay in those conversations and track them and get their needs met, and what kind of groups they should be in? I mean, I'm in so many groups, and a lot of them I'm not active in because I just know that it's just too much. But some I'm really active in.
I think it's really important to kind of filter out where you feel like you're getting the support, what you need at the time. Like right now, maybe you need support in health and wellness, or business building or social media or whatever it is that you need right now. And those groups can change over time. So don't feel bad about leaving groups. And sometimes people add you to groups without, it's not that they don't ask your permission, but you can choose to leave groups and stop.
Right. I
Um,
left a couple yesterday.
yeah, and that's a good way to purge too. Like, once a month, kind of go through, just like unsubscribing from a lot of the emails. I look back, and if I'm not opening those emails, maybe they were great information or they had a great free offer that I thought was really useful. But if I'm not using it, then taking the time, like clearing out your closet, right? It's getting rid of the stuff that's not serving you at that time. And I heard somebody call it like just-in-time learning, and this is kind of applicable as well. Use whatever you need at the time. For myself, I've got a product launch coming up, and we're finalizing this book that's going to be put out in the next month or two. So those are what my focuses are right now. Maybe I want to do more on Instagram or Pinterest, but right now I don't need to buy any more programs. I don't need to join any groups about those. Right now my focus is on launching and getting support and feedback from people who are interested in what I'm talking about and who can help me in my process about launching and book writing, for instance. So all the other stuff,
Right.
two months down the line, that will be important. So get rid of everything. You'll find, like you said, you'll find the groups when you need them, when they come into your life. But kind of having a closet purge.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I'm just thinking about like what a driver of conversation you were. Like you are a go-getter and you really came in every day with some solid input, really great resources, and you drove huge conversation in our program, and it was amazing to me. It was actually a good lesson for me to learn how to really participate in online, forums, if you will, and kind of embrace the process a little bit more, because I really resisted. I was like, I don't really want to be online, but I know I want to, but I also know that like it's a change. It's a slow change for me of trying to understand it all, and because I'm so used to just being, I'm a performer. My presence is really strong, and that's what I know how to do. And so now learning the tools to get it into another platform. And you have so many resources. I mean, it's really amazing. And the things like, what made you choose, I can't even think of some of the things you would bring in, but you would, like, what made you choose what topics you would bring in for the day? Like what was that process like for you?
Into center stage, you mean?
Yeah, center stage or any forum. Like, what do you do? How do you choose to really bring information in? Like, what is it? Just what's going on for you at that moment that you want to talk about?
There's a couple of different things. So some of it is like reacting to what's going on, like my health at the moment with my injury. That brings a lot of things to the forefront, and that makes me, reevaluate my life in a certain way. So there's that instant reaction to outside events. But the other part of it is having more of a plan. And I'm a real ideas person, so I have a million ideas. So for me, it's really hard to focus down onto one or two things and just stay with them till completion. Because, it's not just shiny object. I just have so many ideas that I like starting things and I like researching stuff, and then I don't always follow through and complete them. So for me, that's been a real challenge. So what I've tried to do is actually break things down, and what do I need, like I said, for this course, what do I need to do to launch this program for like the 2 months before? What do I need to be thinking about? And so I kind of, I've got Jeff Walker's launch book, which has been really phenomenal. He's a great speaker,
amazing.
and Faraday Caesar, she's another Canadian. She's a musician who also is working on. She's a launch coach now, helping businesses to launch their programs, and
Cool.
just taking things like that and following kind of a step-by-step process. Because I have to say, I'm not great at laying things out for myself. I have this vague, fluffy idea. So this time I've been a bit more pragmatic about it, and I've actually put things on a calendar and said, okay, so if my program is launching, it's going live and people can purchase it on these dates, and it's going to start, say, November 1st, then the month before that I have to do these things. And that's really, for me, that's really helped me get clarity on what I should be talking about that month. So in my newsletters, I've started to talk a lot more about blogging and videos and email marketing as a real powerful trio instead of just using social media, like I said, which is so hungry. So that's given me ideas for, like, 5 blog posts that I can write,
Right.
or what kind of videos I can create that are going to help people that are struggling to to get in front of the camera and have confidence, maybe, or the technology part of, videos. People get really freaked out. I mean, even like this, we've had people who couldn't come on because technology can just be such a beast sometimes.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting through those hurdles. And, so like I said, so that's kind of shaped what I'm talking about right now. And like I said,
Yeah.
leaving everything else be. And of course, I've got my own client work. I'm working on websites and social media training and social media coaching, and I'm teaching next week again at the Center for Arts and Technology. So it's kind of compartmentalizing things and putting them in pockets and giving each of them time, and realizing that sometimes you have to say no to other projects too. I'm not always good at saying no, but I've really started to
I'm a yes person too, and I get like, and I love to do and be involved, and sometimes now I'm learning, okay, got to step back and just choose what's right for you.
Yeah, and that's pretty important, because like we only have 24 hours in a day. And if, like you said, you just pick your three things on your to-do list, and especially with email and social media, right? Things bombard us all the time. So we kind of have to have like a little bit of blinders on. And one of the best pieces of advice I've seen is don't go to your phone in the morning. Don't open your emails. Those first 2 hours should be for you to accomplish those 3 big things on your list that are going to be the biggest goals to move you forward closer to whatever it is, like product launch, or getting clients, or hosting a webinar or a telesummit, or reaching out to people who are influential in your sphere, like whatever it is. Get those done in the morning, and then start filtering
the morning time is where my rhythm really starts. And like I wake up and I meditate and I write and I kind of get connected with the information. What my waking moments, I start to receive a lot of information, and so I just sort of have to let that be. And people always say, oh, work out in the morning, it's so good for you. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not working out right now, but when I do, I actually now work out more in the afternoon at like the 4 or 5 o'clock time. And it's really one of those things where the way you set up your day and the rhythm, you have to like optimize your hours in that sense. And also like, and when do you get into your sort of genius zone, which is like my coaching zone? When I get into it, like, I don't want to turn it off. And so I really leave like the heart of my day, from 10 to 4 that's like solid, coaching hours for me when I'm doing it. I've taken all of my coaching off the calendar for the next month, and I'm recouping from a surgery. So I'm just like, okay, I have a little hub going on right now, and I'm working towards a launch also for a hormone program that I'm building with another coaching program. Yeah.
So actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about collaboration and what it means really to collaborate, and how it helps not just ourselves, but how we can help other people when we start to collaborate on projects, whether it's collaborating on a book, or having people to get your message out when you've got a launch. Tell me how you've collaborated. Like you just said that you're working on your hormone program. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting because it came. I have a dear friend, Brittany Watkins, and she's a tapping for weight loss expert. And it came out of her and I spending a weekend together, and we just started, I was asking her questions and everything was coming back to hormones. And I was like, well, let's do your eval and look at it. And we kind of went through the process, and she was like, holy cow, you know so much. And I was like, well, I have been teaching doctors this for like the past 5 years. So, and I learned all of it from my own personal experience and going back to school. And then, the companies that I worked for were amazing, Metagenics and Integrative Therapeutics. So I got some really solid education as I worked, which was great. But it really came from her having a need, and I filled that need. And then all of a sudden she was getting requests, and she would find clients that weren't really getting results, and she started realizing that there was a hormone issue. And so we've just gone down that path and explored it, and she's just filling a need in her practice, and it's something that I can fulfill, and she has a massive list, and it's really exciting, and we'll see what happens from it. and then collaborating with the book, it's been great to see everyone has so many ideas and opinions and so much insight, and it's been great to just go, okay, I'm a part of this, and
Yes.
I can share what I want, and I don't have to micromanage the process, which was really nice, because I was like, oh, I can chime in when I need to, and that's part of letting go, which is great, because managing multiple projects is a lot, and so I'd say, like, launches are challenging, and I'm really working through this one coming up, and it's fun to think, like, I'm a systems person, and I love creating that, like, how do things happen, and then implementing them and making it work. Like, it's such juice for my brain, and the fact that I can service women in this way is really wonderful. The other way, really, like, to build and collaborate, it's really about building relationships and getting to know people and using my skill sets. I have my lawyer, she was like, I need to shoot videos, and I was like, okay, I went to film school, like, let's do it. And so I taught her all the things that she needed to do, and it's just because I have a skill set, and it's maximizing your talents and knowing where you feel confident to use them too, right? If we don't feel totally confident, sometimes it can, like, not go so well, but I know I can do these things with my eyes closed. So, it was really fun. I did all her photographs, and I helped, create the videos for her, and I critiqued them, and we did her makeup and her styling and everything. It was really fun. And so, we're going to do another shoot coming up, and it's interesting stuff to me. Like, I love it. And that's part of making her business go in the right direction and servicing a need for her. Other things, for me, I pick areas that I want to focus on. But honestly, like, things just happen, right? Like, when you're kind of in flow in life, like, things just happen. And if you are listening, like, if you're truly tuned in to what's going on around you, and you're slowed down enough so that you can hear it and then really receive it and take it in and marinate on it and be like, is this right for me to do now?
Yes, yeah.
Or do I need to postpone it? And, like, the hormone thing, it came up in July, and I have postponed it until it works for me. And that's just the right timing. It's just wasn't the right timing for me until, coming up a couple of months down the road. And I think, that's the other thing, is knowing when to take action, right? So, like, you receive it in, and then knowing when the timing is, and learning how to really manage your schedule and manage your own energy and manage your own life. We all have needs outside of ourselves that family and kids or whatever it might be that we have to meet. So it's creating that balance. And I think, I'm always looking for people to collaborate with. I'm like, oh, this woman, Susan Ferraro, like, I can't wait to collaborate with her. And she's been an amazing little mentor to me on the side as I've grown my business. And she's, always touched base with me and checks in. And I'm just psyched for the day that we can do something.
So let me jump in and talk about, you made a great point about how people can really lift us up. Like, when I'm working with clients who are my ideal clients, who are the warm and fuzzies, like, I get a real buzz out of that, of helping them and just having those dialogues back and forth. And it's not that it's making you feel like bragging about how great you are, but it's seeing that you can help somebody with your skill set. And that sometimes, Chantel said this even to me, like, I'm very much a systems person as well. And I feel that I work much better on a project than I do having something really big and open-ended. So Chantel had said something, I was offering advice to her about hiring a VA, so I jumped in and I sent her a message, and so here's some people that I use, and here's a bit of structure to it. If you're going to hire them, here's some tips first. Da, 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 da. And she's like, oh my God, you are so good at this, and it's great when somebody else tells you that, and you think, yeah, I am good at this. I've got this other skill set that I wouldn't necessarily sell as part of my coaching, but when somebody sees it, then it's really powerful to us to to open up and receive that and just be thankful for it and realize that we've got so many gifts that we can bring to the world and so many skills that we can be helping others with on a daily basis.
Yeah, the multi-passionate thing is pretty wild.
Yeah, and collaborating with people. Like, I think sometimes, there's that whole competitive mindset. I said at the beginning how sometimes we compare ourselves to others, and they're just farther along in their journey, like especially like talking about videos and people not having confidence, or blogging, or feeling like a fraud that you're not quite there yet. You're helping people, but you feel like you're not there yourself. Like, all of that kind of mindset stuff is really about putting yourself into the world, using what you've got now, and you can help somebody because you know more than somebody about whatever it is that you're talking about. There's people who know more than you, and then there's people who know less than you. So you can always help somebody with your skills.
One step ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the collaborations kind of come flowing to you, like if you're open to it, like in all these groups. And part of why I jump in and share resources and tips is like I just see things all the time. But also, if you know something that somebody doesn't, it just takes, 1 or 2 sentences, and people are really grateful for that. And that's the relationship building and, having the abundance mindset. Like, maybe it's another social media manager, and I can still help them because we're not going to have that same overlapping clientele anyway. Like, there's enough out there that we can both be good at what we do, and somebody will choose me for my personality, and someone will choose you for your personality, even if we're in the same industry and same field. And just realizing that collaboration, you can recommend somebody, and that is so much more powerful than me saying, oh, I'm really good at this. But we're talking, going back to Facebook groups and things like that. If you've worked with a coach and someone else is saying, hey, I'm looking for a mindset coach or a weight loss coach or whatever it is, and you've worked with somebody, jump in and tag their name in it, and they're going to love you for recommending them. And it's also more powerful than just jumping in yourself and saying, hey, I'm the mindset coach, come and check me out.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, upriding other people that you love and feel are great at it is one of the coolest things. There's a woman, Michelle Van Loo, that I've done some work with, and someone was looking for a financial advisor, and this woman, she's like, I've never worked with anyone with investments, and I have saved a ton of money, and I don't know what to do with it. And I was like, here's your woman, like, here's the go-to, because you guys have, I know the person that was talking, and I know Michelle, and it was like, you have the right connectivity to work together, like, you have the right connective line to be a successful pairing, if you will. And so I think if you can, in good faith, put people, that's part of networking. It's putting people together that you think would work together. It's a gift. You're just passing along a gift. So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about all this stuff for hours.
I know, and it's actually getting close to the hour, but I'm just going to pop over to the Google Plus page because Susan James, who was trying to join us, she's made some comments. So I'm just going to read off some of her comments so she can kind of participate just in a kind of texting sort of way. So Susan has said, hi. In her work, she finds it helpful to look at, like my shoulder problem. Are you shouldering any responsibility that isn't yours, or does some part of you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders? We work through it and find what message the body is bringing to you. And Carrie, gratitude and both said, and to me, both said acceptance is so key to bringing joy to your life. And together, yes, we can achieve more. There's no more joy than helping someone else. Awesome. I wish you could have gotten on the show, Susan. It would have been so great to have you on here sharing with us, but thank you for contributing just by comments. That is awesome. Technology is what it is, and it's a great kind of plug for me to say, I could have given up and not done this. There's quite a few people who ended up having schedule problems or technology. They couldn't just get into it. The plug-in wasn't working, all this stuff, and I've seen so many Hangouts. People who've been doing it for years still have issues, and if I let that stop me, then I would just never do them. But you've just got to think that it's so important to get your message out into the world, and, I mean, oh my God, I'm having a bad hair day, or, ooh, the lighting's not good, or whatever it is, all these things that we let stop us, just, let all that go. And, here we are having this conversation anyway. We're making it work, and it's not perfect, but, we're hopefully reaching the people who needed to hear this at this time. and just give it a go, because you may as well try. It's, you know, you're not getting pass or fail points on it. You just put it out there, and it is what it is.
Yep, so true.
All right, so let's just wrap this up. And do you have any, like, what is your biggest piece of advice that you can give in your realm of experience there, Carrie?
I mean, if we're really talking about like what I wrote in the book and in the healing realm and having the courage to pursue our dreams, is to confidently take one step every single day towards your dream, and know that it might change over time, but still keep working towards it. Have faith that you'll get there if you just continually put the work in. And I mean, this has been a 7-year, 20-year journey really to get to where I am now, and I feel like the best is yet to come. So I've got a really great landing ground and our platform right now, and it's about to really transform in the next couple of months, and I'm really excited about it. So I think it's really about perseverance and having that courage to take the steps forward and really listening. Listen, receive, respond. Yeah. And thank you so much, Angelique, for having me on. It's such a pleasure, and it's so fun to chat with you and get to know more about what you do, too.
And thank you so much for being on the show. It was, yeah, I think it was a really great dialogue back and forth. We seem to be able to feed off each other really well. So for myself, my biggest message for everybody out there right now is just be really aware that the key to success is collaboration. It really is that support and the abundance mindset and connecting with people, sharing, and by doing that, everyone is going to shine. So lifting other people up, sharing their message, tweeting things out, going in, and if you're in groups, or even if it's by email, or pick up the phone and support somebody in some way. And just by saying, how can I help you, is so powerful. You know, you might not get paid for it financially, but, you know, they're going to be able to help support you in some way too. It's not all about financial gains. Like, success has so many different ways of manifesting itself. So connect, share, shine.
Like, what do you want to talk about today? Because it's different every single time.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so I want to wrap up the show today. Thank you so much for participating, Susan Jane, by comment, and thank you for being here today and taking the time, Carrie, to be on the show. And thank you to everyone for listening. I know we were going to have a few more people on, but I think, wow, Carrie and I certainly can talk the hour away, and I hope that you found some inspiration in the messages that we shared today, too. So I am Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media, and this is the Power of Free show, where every 2 weeks we help entrepreneurs and people try to grow their business online, learning from other experts and what tools and resources that they are using that are free. So the next show will be the third week of October. I can't believe it's fall already here. I think it's going to be a really good show. I'm not going to share with you yet, but it's definitely going to be a good one. Thank you again so much for joining us today. And if you've got any comments, definitely pop them in the comment box, and we will try and answer your questions and challenges. Thank you for joining us today. It's Angelique from Bright Spark Media. Bye-bye.
Bye.